Dear UNDP crowdfunding community, my name is Bojan Opachak, and in this module of the UNDP Crowdfunding Academy, I would like you to consider just how important design and visuals are for the success of your campaign. This will not be a module on how to design, but rather it will show you why visuals, visual identity, message, design, and all these visual elements, why they are important and how you can work with others on achieving a great result. I will also briefly mention some crowdfunding video tips and some tech tips to get you excited about your campaign. So let's just get it right into it. Why are visuals so important anyway? Let's do a little test. I have here the next slide, some elements, and I want you to see which thing will grab your attention first and what you will see first and kind of most. Okay, so since I can't get your feedback, I will assume that you are like in the 90% of the population who would probably first see the animation, the video, then only the image, and then only move on to the text. This is just because this is how the brain works, and this is why it's just really good to use images to just get an attention span, to start an attention span with your audience, because it just gets into the brain faster. Let's talk about some campaign success factors also to see why visuals are important. So out of the 8 key success factors identified in a meta-study, 4 of them relate to visuals. So active communication with platform members, project description and images. Down there you can see linguistic style and content of the project update. So, okay, linguistic style might be a bit of a stretch, but still the tone of voice in which you are addressing your audience is kind of defined throughout the design process and the visual identity creative process. Just because, for example, you work for a big, serious organization doesn't mean that you always have to sound big and serious. Sometimes, especially in crowdfunding, what matters most and what really gets most attention is a heart, something that comes right from the heart and in simple language. Speaking of language, your message is the thing that we are actually creating visuals for. So your message you have to craft, split, publish, and repeat all the time. What I mean by that is that the goal of this whole thing is persuasion. So you're creating visuals and video to persuade. The beauty and the aesthetics of it, they just take second place. They are important, and this is why we are kind of doing them, because through beauty and aesthetics you can get attention, but the attention is there only to direct people towards your call to action, so what you want them to do. So just by making this picture appear there, you're increasing your chances of getting the person to do what you want. Always keep that in mind, and always repeat your message over and over again until some person becomes, rather from a follower, he becomes or she a supporter. Writing in visuals and writing for visuals. When you're writing for a campaign, you need to be so concise that it's easy to come up with the concept that needs to be visualized. If you're writing a big paragraphs and big mess kind of out of ideas, multiple ideas per paragraph, it's kind of hard to come up with a picture that would adorn that paragraph. And that's why writing for crowdfunding kind of just forces you to rewrite and revise and rewrite again. You're supposed to shorten, delete a lot, which is sometimes very hard, especially if you have a 3-pager project description and you're not really sure what to kick out, or what even sentences to separate into shorter ones to make it more understandable. Because just writing in simple, plain language is a much better way a much better chance to get understood. Some people don't speak such good language that you're talking in. Maybe some people it's a second language, or maybe they're using Google Translate. So for all those cases, just using plain, simple language really just gets the better message across. And when you look at some most successful, just general campaigns, they use very simple, very plain language. Also, luckily, you can have robots and your colleagues, but still robots as well to help all of you. to shorten something, to maybe just give you a different perspective. So you could use ChatGPT to say, just feed it some kind of project description and say, I want you to make crowdfunding text out of this, please. Crowdfunding page text, please. And this could be a good starting point, or it could just be a thing to compare your own writing to. So what's specific to designing for crowdfunding? Well, first of all, you're telling a story in a very rigid format, and you have to make full use of this format. A crowdfunding page looks something like this you see on the right. It has kind of a main image, then comes some kind of title, and you then start seeing maybe different things per platform, but basically it's the goal that they're raising, how many donors already there are, and how many days are left. But it's really all the same on all the platforms that you will be probably using. It varies a little, but not too much. What that means is that the main communication elements here become basically the title, because you're first going to see the title. Even before you land on this page, you're somewhere going to read the title of the page, maybe on Google. So the title is the first kind of visual element that you will see. I would say the second is the main image, because this is where you can show most of your personality and what your campaign is really all about. Sometimes it's really good to just put a picture and to show that you're there, you're on the ground, you're doing it already, and like, this is us, with maybe your logo or something. Sometimes it's better to create some kind of a colorful visual identity for something if you're competing for attention, or you're trying to explain a more like abstract concept that you need some kind of visualization for. Oftentimes it can be just a screenshot, like you see here, just a screenshot that is frozen and until you click it, basically of a video still that you can design in YouTube, of course, on other online video hosts. You can add this still shot that appears as first, and this is then the first thing that people see before they click on the video. So don't forget about that later, to have just a random portion of the video show up if the first thing on your page is not the best thing. And then later you see you have text, and you have little images that, not little, here they appear little, but they're actually quite big. Images that you can put in the text itself, and then this can scroll on forever. This is the format that you're trying to fulfill. There's nothing outside of this format that you can put really, and that you should put, because this allows you to do pretty much any storytelling that you need. So speaking of storytelling and how you spread your message, I just want to drag attention to the fact that the new way of communication is kind of a relationship building, a swarm, I would say, of messages and a swarm of communications. Before, maybe it would be, I would refer it as spear, because you had one, for example, traditional media partner, and you go to them and then they spread your kind of message to everybody almost immediately. This kind, I'm not sure if today this is even doable, or if it's like this financially doable, but this new swarm way, where you're using social media, you're using influencers or like other entities and NGOs to amplify your message and to get it further than from your own network, while constantly producing updates and being just really responsive and kind of communicative about your project, even asking people maybe to contribute to the decision making of them. This is the new way of communicating that I think we should pursue for crowdfunding. Why design for different social media platforms? Well, because they all have a different format. For example, Instagram has this, they've developed this reel story video that also exists, I guess, on TikTok. Twitter or ex-Twitter, I should say, was X now, is tiny bits of blurbs of information that you can link other things too, or you can just really communicate like that. But you have to know that it's a different format. And when you're crafting your message, you have to take your message and just split it across all these formats, even something like Medium, where you could write a really in-depth article about the campaign, how you're starting it, how you're planning to do it, or maybe how it went later. Because they are also different, I will not give you advice on how to do anything on each particular format, but you should research each format and try to see what is the best practice in it, to be able to even request someone, if it's a designer or a videographer, to create something for your campaign for you. So, and this content that people will create or that you will create, or that maybe already exists and you just have to edit it, people will only support you if they notice you, and they will only notice you if you create new things all the time. You cannot just create like one crowdfunding video and maybe advertise it. You need to show your team, you need to show what's going on, you need to show what's already been done, maybe split the video in parts. So basically, the more content you have and the more appearances you have, the greater the chance that people will become supporters. Of course, there's multiple things that you can do besides your campaign landing page, of course. So you have marketing materials that you will have to send to people. Maybe you have a newsletter that you can start already beforehand. Maybe you have to collect all the photos of people that you don't maybe have collected in one place. Or maybe you can create a pitch deck already today for your campaign, even to get early supporters on. You could start creating your press kit, because you will need to go to the media. And you know, for example, that at some point you will have milestones and updates for your followers, for your supporters, and then you will, you know, since they are following you and they will get everything that you write, the more you write to them, the more of a chance it is that they will recommend you to someone else. So these milestones and updates are also very important elements. So just go through this list and try to see what's good for you. Also important to say, you can, you know, you need to exert enough effort to succeed, but perhaps the difference between these two is so little that you have to see where this line is of success. So it's hard to tell how much effort you need to put into your video. Should it be a high production? Should it be a low production? For some campaigns, it's really all you need is just like an iPhone to record a little bit of beneficiaries of your campaign, asking for whatever it is that you're crowdfunding for, or sometimes you need to create a complex animation of an architectural or infrastructural project that is not very easy to do. So it's just important that you invest, although enough money and time, if you recognize that you need to invest, to take that time and to invest it into the production of your design, and not just to think of it as kind of a secondary thing for your campaign, because it does kind of involve success, as we saw, success factors. So who designs, you or the professional designers? Here you just have to consider the quality triangle. I would say always you can choose either scope, time, or cost. So you can choose, for example, the cost can be cheap, time can be fast, but it's not going to have a lot of scope. Or you can choose any of the two sides also, and it's not going to be able to choose. You're not going to be able to choose all three. And that's basically my advice when you're hiring someone. You need to maybe try to get a supporter who is a donor for you to be a designer. That would be great. Or really do invest a significant portion of your budget into someone to design these communications for all the formats appropriately, and to kind of support you in this process. Because if you're doing all this by yourself, it will be hard. It will be hard. Start today, though. It doesn't have to be that hard. It's easier to revise than just to start from scratch. So just start with writing your title, subtitle, for example, the short description. This can be just a one-sentence description, as it is in some platforms. Doesn't have to be a full paragraph. The shorter it is, the harder it is to write, I assume. You can come up with your main image, at least temporarily, or already start collecting images and photos, team photo. So, you know, you already have some of these things ready, and as soon as you start collecting them on a place, it will be easier to talk about your visuals. What about the design? Sorry. What about the design and the visual identity? Why? Why would I do that? So I would really urge you to, I'm not sure what kind of project you are working on, of course, and if it's even in your hands to have a visual identity for that particular project. But if it is, it's such a great thing to be able to set up your colors, your just imagery, just general rules for using the fonts and using things for social media, just the templates. Once you have that set up, it's so easy to communicate. And before that, you're kind of like always dependent either on a person to just help someone do it, or you're dependent on yourself to be able to have time to do it. And that really, really helps to save time. Just to develop a visual identity from the start that goes just beyond the logo, not just a logo, but like maybe a set of colors at least, and perhaps some images that can be used in a succession throughout the campaign, some defaults. What about let's say one of the concepts that can help you to design better is to achieve kind of a hierarchy or using size, color, contrast, proximity of things, or alignment, or even negative space where there isn't anything. So like if you're putting text next to a white space, you're sure that people are gonna put a little bit of attention at least into the text and not be distracted by the image next to it. So your crowdfunding page should also follow some kind of hierarchy of how you want people to approach your problem and your problematic and how you want to present yourself. So if there's a flow of information, you can check for it, you can give other people to read. But if you see that there is a paragraph that is just too big, you maybe need to split it into multiple paragraphs, or maybe you need to put some images in between. So you can check for this flow of information as you're doing your crowdfunding page. Another tip is to group and separate items. So for example, well, the screen is too small and the brain is too slow, to put everything together in one block and to perceive it. So this applies to text and images. So when you have some kind of like a big idea or a big explanation, try to come up with what it actually consists of and what are the main pillars of it, and try to separate it into multiple either paragraphs or maybe kind of image and paragraph explainer points, or maybe even just like this. Let's see an example. For example, here you have an image and some big text, and then redesigning that, even though this could be a totally legit format for a crowdfunding page, maybe you can put like this: our solution is faster, safer, cheaper. See how much faster it was to read these three words than to find them even in this text, and they do exist kind of in this text. So you can do a lot to text that's visual and that helps your understanding, and of course you can do these visuals to explain these paragraphs where you really know that your information flow and the attention span has been used properly. Put people at the center, because people like to see people, they like to see faces, they like to see who they're giving money and support to. So this will help to just build trust and build a relationship with your supporters. Don't be afraid to show people, be it beneficiaries, be it also you as the team, people who are already working on this. This will be a huge boost for your campaign. Also, it's important we're working sometimes with very abstract social concepts that are hard to explain in visuals or in words even sometimes. So when we're transferring this into visuals, the designer or even you have to be skilled to be able to kind of decide what really, how would you, like exemplify, how would you visually represent statelessness or something like this? It's really hard sometimes. So you always can. It's just you need to appreciate the work that someone can actually do for you, and try to see if even your campaign needs adornment with visuals, and if it needs, then what kind of maybe even abstract imagery can help you, some kind of visualizations, or even photos of just the problem. Or even illustrations of future plans, just something that is not yet for sure, but maybe you can create a 3D model of something. I know it's hard, but it's possible, and it's you need to recognize when something is too abstract for the viewer, and to just make it concrete for them. And also another thing is that you are in control over the narrative and framing of your campaign. You need to accept how it already is going. You don't need to accept the dominant imagery that is usually associated with your problem. It would really not be good to condescend or use this cheap tricks for empathy, because the brain also shuts down to that. People cannot just perceive a terrible situation over and over again being fed to them in an ad without kind of like this whole message actually coming up with a solution for them. So it cannot be like 100% focused on the problem, which is really, it has been a fundraising strategy also for a while, but I'm just wondering how good it works. You can also test that, probably. So if you try dignity and hope instead of some kind of guilt, shame, and misery, you need to come up with a message to come out of the misery and to say like, this is the hope that we have for this particular case. If you focus on concrete steps instead of just the abstract concepts of catastrophe, it will give people a just easier way to come to a call to action to act upon their impulse. And even just if you spotlight some kind of empowerment from within the community, it will always give a glowing face and kind of like try to push you towards actually donating or supporting. You should avoid terrible typography, low resolution images that make you look unserious, or when something is squished left horizontally or vertically. This very often comes up in crowdfunding because people maybe don't just look at it as it's not important. You can see everything, but it's very important and just like brings down your credibility so much that it is not even worth for me mentioning. You probably know all this, but don't make all these mistakes and try to be mindful of like how much, for example, stock photos you're using, or if you're being too complicated and technical. It's easy to make these mistakes when you're deep into some knowledge. All right, let's see about the video. What about the video? So the video should first answer, if you're doing a crowdfunding video, that is, and highly suggested that you do, because your chances of getting a successful campaign are huge. I think like fourfold is the research. In any case, you should say who you are, what problem is the campaign solving, but not stay on this, not just stay on the problem. You need to say then, why does it matter and how can you solve this problem, right? You will need to show this video cannot just show the problem and needs to show the solution too. I keep repeating this, but it's very important. Either show the solution or help them imagine, because sometimes you cannot show the solution. And sometimes we just need to maybe talk to the people about how it could be, and you could record that, and that could be your hopeful part. Of course, repeat your call to action all the time. Just repeat, repeat, repeat. Repetition will be key to making someone a supporter. Now for the video, we have here this like little illustration that shows how many people, this line shows how many people are, watching this video. So in the beginning, everyone is watching, and then some people are dropping out already. They're stopping it. They don't want to watch a video. They can't watch with sound. They're in a tram. They're in a bus. So you are really competing with a lot of attention here that is not that no one even gave you yet. So in this first 7 seconds, you have to have your hook, and you have to show what this is all about. Kind of, you cannot postpone anymore, because after this, people have to decide whether they want to watch this. Once they do decide that they want to watch this, then you have their attention, and you can really tell your story in a way that you're first probably presenting the problem and what you're trying to solve, and then kind of trying to show your solution. But you need to keep in mind that the longer the video is, the less people will be watching it, and that's just how it is. And your call to action, although you can have a call to action, big call to action in the end, I just want to make sure that people understand that how they need to be able to feel like they will become one of the people that are solving this problem. So this is the main purpose of the video, is to just kind of emotionally involve people in your story. So, but these emotions you should use carefully, and it should always be balanced out by information. There are two routes to persuasion. One is kind of more dealing with emotions and how people feel about you, for example, as an expert. But one is really about the information that you give them, and rationally saying like, we need to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're already good at it because we're doing it. You need to balance out the emotions and the information given out in a video, not to have some kind of emotional appeal only. One advice would be to follow all the filmmaking steps. It's easy to skip them, but each is so useful that it's creating problem down the line if you do skip them. So try to have your idea and copywriting ready before going to any kind of production and filming. So for example, you could first write the concept in 500 word max. Maybe it can be 100 words. Maybe it can be just one sentence, but where you just write your main idea and leave everything else undefined to be defined later. Then it comes to the script. This is where it's going to be defined. And the more you define your script, the easier it will be for you to shoot. Because some of the problems with the shooting, if you write the script and you write who's saying what, when, you will see already some problems with editing. You will see some problems with, I don't know, anything that you might see later. It's better to see it earlier already on paper, because you're still not moving people around, recording them, and having them stand in the cold or something. Then use pre-production to make all kinds of direction decisions, gather all footage, and just get really, really ready for filming. And then only comes the production, right? And after the production or filming and that the walking part of the video making, you have the pretty you can have a lot of time, leave yourself some time to add music, to edit, to maybe find some extra footage and stuff like this. This can all be done in one day, but it can last 3 months. It's up to you to see what kind of video you are making. And also just keep in mind that like to have a 1-minute video, it's like maybe 140 spoken words, and 3-minute video, maybe 420 spoken words. So when you're writing your content ideas, they need to be very, very, very short. Otherwise, you're just gonna have a too long video that you have to cut out something that is actually very important. Choose the right concept, style, and structure, of course. There are many concepts that you could come up with for any kind of video style. For example, if your video style is just an animated presentation, okay, you don't have time to do a recording, you will just do a presentation with some letters going left and right with some images. You could still come up with different concepts for that. And if you write this down earlier, then it's really better for you for later for production time. So in production time. So also just really you need to capture the problem, the why, and what's in it for me, for the person that is watching the video. The structure of the crowdfunding video can be really different, but you can watch a few videos and you will see that some of them have really a similar structure where they just introduce this problem and then offer you the solution from their own perspective. And whereas you have others that are just showing an organization that is doing the stuff and then just like for years already. So you can examine different structures and then choose your own, see what fits your organization, your context the best. Of course, the more time you invest in the script, probably I like to say, you can invest a lot of time in the script and a little bit in production, and you could have the same result as spending a lot of time and money for production and having a poor script. So really try to simplify ideas, try to see what you can record inside at home or in your office or somewhere, like try to see what's doable for you and adjust your effort and budget accordingly. Keep the videos short and to the point. This is, I mean, I just repeated it, but when you're reading it out loud while writing, you will see how long something actually really is. It always comes to be 3 times as longer than what you think it is. Then you will have to cut and cut away some more. And that really, something, you know, so that seems crucial to you may be totally insignificant for the viewer to become a supporter. So something that for you is has been a topic, for them is they don't have it in mind, they don't come from this perspective. You have to record a video basically from their perspective. And it's there to serve your communication strategy. It's not there to just show what you're doing. It's serving the communication strategy and the message and the call to action that you have for this campaign. Of course, here are some tips that you can read at your own time, but even if you follow all the video tips that I'm giving you here, there's one that says forget everything and don't follow the rules. But with that in mind, I would like to say that like the budget versus the quality is not always the same. So you can have a really good quality with a small budget, but then the idea really, as I said before, and the concept and the script have to be perfectly made. Do your own research on what you like and what you don't like about campaign videos and come with that to your videographer and show them that rather than him giving you advice on how to do it. Check out some unsuccessful campaigns to see how they did videos and why is it wrong, and maybe you're making some of those mistakes. Also make the project about something bigger than what is just happening at the moment. So like this video cannot just be very, very focused and very to the point. Also, it has to offer some kind of general direction of what we're doing here, and as I said, what's in it for me, for the viewer. You have to be mindful of your voice and tone. If you haven't set it consciously, you have set it unconsciously, so you can just give it some thought to be somehow less formal, more friendly, more open, more speaking from the heart. Don't mention too many rewards and packages, I guess, if you have, because you're wasting a lot of time, and people will see this later in the when they come to the decision-making part of their support donation. They will be they will have to decide, and they can be introduced to them later. Um, of course, I said that you can record it for 3 days or 3 weeks, but this you will have to see with your script. So just consult your script and don't rush it, and consult your videographer and trust them on their time skills, but also start early enough to give them time to be able to do so. Of course, locations, and even in research, are just appealing locations are two times more likely to succeed. So choose your location wisely. Don't have some kind of bright background with the sun in your face, in the camera. Consider giving your updates via video, which is really cool. You can always record what's going on with the campaign and what stage you're in right now and how many supporters there are as a small video message from your team where you all get together. That's a good idea, maybe. Okay, and as I said, forget everything and don't follow any rules, and you'll probably make a good video. And about the tech tips, it's just really important to collaborate online. Images and videos can be really big files. They can have multiple versions. Just to make them, it takes hundreds of files, other files that need to be in other folders. So it's best to just have everything online in one folder and not send things over email. As soon as you start sending things over email, things get messy. So have your shared folders ready before starting a collaboration with someone, and just stick to it, and remind people to stick to it. And it will just save you time later when some journalist calls in 3 a.m. in the morning, we need this thing, and no one knows where it is and everyone's sleeping. Oh, it's in the folder. And one more tech tip, use Canva. Canva has been great for nonprofits because it's free, and you can get a lot of pre-made, you can search for graphics that are already there, and photos from virtually almost all countries. And pretty much you can find any stock that you need, basic, to create some kind of like really good looking presentations, or even your campaign video, or even your homepage main image. It's really about how you use it and not about the tool, I would say, even though if you use Photoshop's illustrators, your designers will use them, and that's great. But if you don't, or if you want to do some ideas quickly, then you can use Canva. And as a nonprofit, you can always apply for a free license. You can use AI to imagine things. So for example, here I wanted to show you just a year ago how it was. This is the progress of AI. The day of the earthquake or a few days afterwards, I just wanted to create some images for some reason or other of people cleaning up after the Turkish earthquake. Images that I didn't have people cleaning up ancient works of art of the floor. And this is the progress, how it was a year ago. And now that it's being maybe even fed by real images, you can see that in a year progressed like this. So if you're watching this presentation in maybe a few years, that means that the progress of this quality, and the fact that they just here they couldn't do hands properly, and here they at least learned that people do construction work in gloves, but still it's an improvement, and it's going in the direction that can help you just visualize something in the moment that it's happening, even just as a default photo that you can replace later with real photos. But it does help you to come up I'm sorry, to come up with inspiration, at least. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this has helped you and your crowdfunding journey. I would like to give a big support to all of you, and I hope I will see your campaigns online so that I can support them. I really thank you for your time, and goodbye.